Bonjour et bienvenue tout le monde, je m'appelle Renaissance Merci and welcome back to my channel. Today, it's probably a bit echoing here, the audio might be annoying. Anyways, so today I did my makeup so that I could do a YouTube video, and I wanted to do it in this room because I've just been spending more time in this room, so different background, I'm not in my bedroom. Anyways, I did my makeup so I could film a YouTube video, and then the sun was setting, and I was like, oh my gosh, the sun is so pretty. And then I realized I wanted to do a makeup video in this room with the natural lighting, so now I'm like here rushing to make a video. Hold on, I don't know, my hair looks good. Hair in my face, but that is okay. I only have like one thing of battery, so it's a little bit all over the place. The sun has touched the mountain. The sun has touched the mountain. We're running out of time, and so I basically did my makeup for nothing. But that's okay, because I'm going to film a video anyway. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about a very fun topic, gender and sexuality, specifically my gender and sexuality. So if you guys have known me for the past 4 to 5 years, if you've been following this channel, following me on any of my social media platforms, you probably know that for the past 4 to 5 years, I identified as bisexual. That was incorrect. It wasn't something that I did on purpose. I didn't think that it would be better to be bisexual than to be gay or anything like that. And even in my old video, which is private now, I don't want that up anymore. But in my coming out video that I made, I felt torn between the binaries of that's a theme. Feeling torn of the binary between being gay and being straight, and I felt like there should be something more. And at that point, I was so young. Not that young people don't know what their sexuality is. I still had internalized this idea that even if you're like an independent woman or an independent person, everything is still related to men. So I just grasped onto this idea that sexuality somehow still has to include men, and I think especially because my only connection to gay culture and the gay community, sorry the sun is setting, my only connection to the gay culture and gay community was through gay men. The emphasis of men being a part of the gay community just was something that was really internalized to me. Gay just meant gay men to me, and so trying to apply that knowledge onto myself was difficult to see that I had no attraction or no relation to men. And even during the years of me identifying as bisexual, I was never interested in men, and I talked about not being interested in men, not being interested in having a relationship with men, not being sexually attracted to men, and I still just felt to me it made more sense that all girls, everyone kind of felt some attraction to girls, and everyone was just, men were just kind of there. And it turns out not everyone feels that way. I don't know how everyone doesn't feel that way. The sun is literally set. But yeah, that's just kind of how I felt. And I felt that way for a really long time. I just felt like men always just had to be included. And it turns out men don't have to be included. In March or so, I came out super casually on Twitter, basically just saying I'm a lesbian, and so I've been identifying as lesbian since March, and for me that is just much more comfortable. And I've been questioning my sexuality again for about a year, 10 months to a year already before coming out as lesbian again, and I just kind of always just pushed it away. I'm just I think it might just be gay, and I'm no. And for a moment I thought it was internalized biphobia. I had this idea that bisexuality had to be 50-50, and so I tried not to put pressure on myself to force myself to feel feelings in order to be included in bisexual spaces, because I thought that it was internalized biphobia that was telling me that oh, I have to like men to be bi. And part of that is you do have to like men to be bi, and part of that is that you it's not a 50-50 split. And for me, not only was it not a 50-50 split, but I had no sexual attraction to men, which...
If 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And 5 plus 5 is 10, okay. What the fuck is this?
I'm a lesbian. And then, like myself and so many of the people who make TikToks, that the algorithm just happens to send my little gay way, was like, now that you have accepted your sexuality, let's talk about gender. Not to feel like in my gender and sexuality class, but like I didn't actually learn that much, like learn any new things that much in my gender and sexuality class, but it kind of just really solidified and like validated my feelings that gender is kind of all like made up, and there's no reason why the things that I like and the things that make me feel like Renaissance are inherently like feminine or like even feminine and masculine. Like things are just things, and things look the way that they are, and that's that. And then in society and in patriarchy and in very binary way of looking at things, and where I'm from in the United States, the gender binary is like everywhere, and like even though English is a non-gendered language, culturally everything is so gendered. Like anyways, to me, identifying as like a binary person or having that identity or people seeing me that way or operating that way just started to become more and more uncomfortable, and I didn't like the idea. And so now, basically, long story short, I'm non-binary, but my pronouns are she, they, but like my gender expression and like terms that you could use to refer to me as hasn't really changed that much in terms of like I still like being called daughter and niece and want to like be a girlfriend. But if someone said like you're a girl, that makes me uncomfortable. I much like seeing myself as just like a person, because the gender construct and the gender binary just kind of makes me uncomfortable. So it's not that it's like an individualist view of myself, because I very much see myself as a community member, and in terms of like politics and stuff like that and women's marches, I personally, this is all just personal, I do not speak for any other non-binary person, like in those spaces I feel very much included. If there wasn't the language, and if I wasn't educated or aware, I'm not sure that I would have ever identified as non-binary. And also, I'm very, very privileged in that my non-binary experience and how I still choose to have gender expression is very, very cis-adjacent, in that basically nothing has changed except for how I view myself and how I view gender politics within my own life and on a bigger scale. Like, those things has changed and evolved, but really nothing has changed, and so my experience is incredibly cis-adjacent, besides the fact that like I don't identify as a binary person, if that makes sense, but like I think you get it. Like my allyship, I would never call myself a trans person, because I'm not gonna call myself a trans woman, because I'm not gonna. There are trans non-binary people, I am not one of them. I'm still an ally. It's my job to support. It's my job to use my privilege as a cis person and as a cis adjacent, cis presenting person. My job is allyship and to elevate the other people in my community who are much more vulnerable. But that's how those two things go. And I think there's like a lot of shitty lesbian discourse about like what pronouns someone can be to be a lesbian, or what gender someone has to be a lesbian. And like, I just want to say for anyone listening, you can be non-binary and a lesbian. Yeah, like lesbianism is both like strict and not strict at the same time. Like, it's strict in that like lesbians do not experience sexual attraction to men. That is like, yes. But it's not, and that non-binary people can be lesbian. Like, people who use he, him pronouns can be lesbians, and that's a different conversation if you want to get into pronouns versus gender. we're not going to go into that, but there are a lot of people who try to say he, him lesbians aren't valid, and I just want to say that they are. That being said, men cannot be lesbians. So, but basically this video is just me saying I'm gay and I'm non-binary, and I use she, they pronouns. You could use either one, a mix of them, one or the other. You could still call me sis, and you can call me bro. People who say ladies and gentlemen still bother me. I'm like, good evening people, good evening guests, good evening audience is fine. People who say boys and girls, why? But then again, I would be in, I'm in a women's book club, and I'm comfortable in that space that is titled Women's Book Club. So, there's that. This is it. It's not that big of a deal for me. Maybe this cleared some stuff up. Maybe you learned something new about me. Maybe this video is something that unlocks something in you, because who knows, the randomest shit would hit me and be like, oh, so maybe this is that for you. You're welcome. Or I'm sorry. Either way, you'll be fine. So, hope you guys enjoyed this little talk. My little speed talk while the sun was setting, because I forgot and I did my makeup and I almost wasted this opportunity. So yeah, have a lovely day, evening, night, or whenever you watch this. Bisous. Ciao.